the love of football. So, who knows? I mean, I'm not running away from it now. I mean, I'm not doing that, but I'm just starting to look at it and kind of
different viewpoint.
Yeah, I'm wondering who's going to stay in there. I mean, Jim Kerr's retired from Glen Rock. He's 44.
I saw
that. I told you that, Dave. What did I tell you the other day?
I was shocked.
Yeah. I said, bro,
so young.
Listen, look at how many we had.
I know.
The Shore Conference is a good old boy club, bro. Like, and these guys, there was more jobs open down here this year. I think there was like 6 or 7.
The most ever.
You're talking about guys like 30 years. I mean, and programs like Shore Regional, 30-something years, Cosentino, Mid-South with Antonucci. Guys been there, tons of success, and guys are just like, I'm good.
But, those guys are there quite some time, you know what I mean? So, yeah. But I think Jim just started getting hit with, hey, we're going to have a class of 7 moving in the next year. Another class of 7. I mean, did you ever think Cresco would be a co-op?
No, I know.
Remember when we were talking
Bob
about
Valley.
I mean, look, who Midland Park too? They're a co-op.
Even
right?
Kevin Quinn.
Kevin Quinn's a legend. Kevin Quinn's a legend.
Coach. You know, I mean, you can look at it. Park Ridge, I understand, has really low numbers coming in.
And they're winning, and they're having trouble.
Yeah, and they have been. Hasbrook Heights has a new person.
Yeah, Emerson barely has a program. They're playing with Cresco. I mean, that doesn't seem like a normal match. And
no.
But really, when I was at Powell Park, that it's funny because when we went JV the second year, when did that move, and I mean, when I say I caught flack for that, but it was the best thing for the program at the time. But I said, you guys think that this is like a one-off, like this is like that we're the only ones that can. In time, you're going to see all these guys because I would talk to Bob and we would play them, and I would even DeCaso, and he was at his height during that time.
Yeah.
Even then, he was having a hard time, and that's obviously Hasbrook Heights is. I always said is in the sweet spot of Southern Bergen County. Like they're they although it's evolved a little bit because of the Parkway, but they used to be the place that had a little more money than most of the other people, and so they had a little bit better system than a lot of other places in Southern Bergen County. But he was having issues when he was at his height. When we were playing him, they're winning over and over and over again, and we were having a couple of those really good battles. He would tell me that like he's having a hard time, and he had Bear as his Bear was his OC, the guy from head coach.
Yeah, now he's at Ramsey.
He had a great staff, and they were having a hard time.
He's the only team in New Jersey traveling to Florida to play this year, to be honest.
What's that?
Ramsey and Bear up there. He's the only team in New Jersey traveling out of state to Florida this year.
Oh,
as a public.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. The small schools have when they did it initially. It was because Saddlebrook used to be a Group 2, a 1,200. It was like when you grew up, right? The boom time. That was
one of the smallest places I ever was.
Now those halls are empty. Saddlebrook, what is there? 300 kids in the school?
Come on, the middle school and high school are together.
Well, I think here's what you're going to see, and this is going to be right on target. You're going to have to make a choice. The co-op thing is one thing. You're going to see people either dropping football. I think their best solution is go full pad 6-man football. I think that's the best. So the school would have some kind of,
like in Texas or in Iowa. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not.
Like those Midwest schools do it.
It's not a community thing. We're not a community based or a communal based society anymore.
No.
And the last thing you're gonna say is high school football up here. We can talk about all the Super North stuff you want. High school football up here at the small schools has been completely rescued by Charlie Voorhees, who's the AD at Seahawks, who somehow does this origami type thing and comes up with how we can get these teams to play a schedule, make it competitive, because he has saved football.
Absolutely.
100%.
But he's going to run out of tricks.
That's what I'm saying. You can only do this. You can only juggle for so long before a ball's going to fall. Right. I mean, look, you almost saw it this year. St. Mary's gets in the playoffs. They played DePaul. That's okay.
Harrison just dropped football.
He did it with Ray Lucas as the coach.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
It's interesting because I remember being in that meeting. It was right before I took the Red Bank job. I was there for Indian Hills, and I remember you asked me to speak about the Ivy League thing that they ended up adopting, and you asked me to speak about what it was like in Indian Hills. And I remember Drew Gibbs was there, and it was the first time Drew, because usually Drew would fight back on the stuff like that because, we're across town, you're going after the same players, all that kind of thing. But obviously they were the halves.
That's going to end too.
Yes. But that was the first time I saw Drew actually, after I was talking, it's, say, what, I can understand.
Like, I get it.
Well, I get why this could be an issue, right? Because obviously he'd be at the youth games. Listen, I had to be there 30 minutes before Drew got there because as soon as Drew got there, everybody walked over to him. So I needed some time for people to come and shake my hand because as soon as Drew walked in, obviously Drew had won and had all the success he had and was obviously a phenomenal coach, right? But it was the first time, and I knew, like, I remember I went to Lorenzo Barada and I said, if I know I'm leaving, but if you
what can I do?
Anything, if you do one thing, you must go in this Ivy League to have a chance.
Yep.
And because then the kids aren't worried about like what they have over there versus what we have over here. They can just go and find a place where they're going to get on the field and not worried about getting their butts whooped, right? And it's honestly, it saved Indian Hills. Unfortunately, they ran out the guy that did a great job with it, who was my assistant, Dom.
Yeah, and now you look. Now they got
they ran him out.
My guy.
Now they got what's his name? Yeah,
Joe's. Like,
he's a good coach. He's a great coach, but he's a great coach, and I'm happy for him because he's a great coach. But what they did to Dom wasn't fair because Dom slowly but surely built up the program.
Yeah, and now how do you get rewarded? See ya.
Well, it was just, and that's what's going on. Dom was an Indian Hills kid. He actually, when I said Lorenzo, I said, "Hey, this is an Indian Hills kid. He wants Indian Hills to succeed.
He cares.
This guy cares. He's not going to be as knowledgeable as I am, but he's going to care, right? So take the time, let him evolve." And he did. Lorenzo did great. Then he ended up going to obviously Old Japan, but he let him evolve. And then, he gets kicked out because he's not winning. He won six games, I think, this year, or for the first time. They've won more than they lost in a long time. And he gets kicked out. But that's what's going on.
You see it all over the place. Everybody's guys are getting pushed out for the next new shiny penny.
That has to change in New Jersey because you go to the South, because I've been to every place in the South. I've been everywhere. I've been all over the country. California's just such a big state. And football succeeds because there are haves and have-nots. And
of course,
it's a huge state. That California's different, but
very much. That's why we just leave them. We just leave them alone.
The rest of the South, Texas, Florida, Georgia. You know what? The one thing that maybe not Florida as much taking care of a coach, but Georgia, South Carolina, Texas, coaches may get run out for if they lose at the bigger schools, but they are compensated as. Yes, the offensive coordinator teaches a few classes, but he's got a full-time gig. The head coach is full-time as a coach and maybe does like a general class. But they're compensated to be able to be invested in football for the long run.
Yep.
And so when people say, why is the South so far? Yes, obviously there's talent in the South. Yes,
and they get spring ball and they're allowed to do these things, but you're taking care of your coaches.
Well, my thing overall is that they are invested in having football succeed. And my only issue in New Jersey and